Hey everybody, my name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com, and this video is on why principle matters in the sense of getting at what libertarianism is, what it isn't, and why it matters. So let me answer that first question, what libertarianism is and isn't. At the end of the day, libertarianism is a set of sort of political values. And what's the difference between like political values and moral values? Political values are more about sort of what is the proper use of force. Because that's what politics is. Politics is power, and the use of power, particularly in the use of violence. So when is the proper time to actually be able to exert violence on somebody? At the end of the day, that's what traditionally a government really is. It's the only institution that really can legitimately use violence on people, incarcerate people, hurt people, etc. It uses that to enforce rules, and it's the only institution that's really allowed to use that method to enforce things. The question is, what is the proper use of that force? Is there a proper use of force? So bottom line is that what libertarianism focuses on, that there really isn't a proper time ever to initiate force on another. Just meaning, basically, if you're not doing anything to me, there is no circumstances where it's moral for me to come and exercise violence on you or to threaten you with violence in order to get you to do what I want. So in that case, when you superimpose that political value, again, that value of what's the role of power, you end up with a very minimal government, because if the government's not, because essentially to do most things that other political value sets want, they're saying, hey, we have this political value set that's intertwined with our moral value set, and we believe that political power is used to impose our sort of moral views on the world. Okay, whether it be for practical purposes, well, actually everyone always thinks that imposing their moral view on others is for practical purposes, because they think the world is going to be better off within their moral values. Basically, libertarianism takes an agnostic look, or is separate from your moral set. So I have my own morals of how I think people should interact with each other, how people should tolerate each other, how people, what is an individual's responsibility to society. I have my own moral values, but my libertarian political values basically says it's improper for me to want to exercise or you force people to operate within my moral value set. So that's sort of what libertarianism is. It's not a moral value set. So someone who's libertarian can have morals that you find abhorrent, and they can have morals that you find very, very good. They can be someone you consider a very, very good person from your perspective. Again, libertarianism is not a moral value set on what is good or what is bad, just on what is the proper use of power, force, etc. Cool. So now that we got that out of the way, what is the point of libertarian principles? So when I talk about things like the non-aggression principle, the whole idea of not initiating force or self-ownership, the idea that you own yourself, what is the purpose of those principles? Are those purpose of those principles to come up with an irrefutable, 100% sure solution to everything? No. Again, it's just to help guide us on sort of what's the proper use of power. And again, the application of those principles aren't going to be 100% uniform between everyone that adopts them. But the idea is the idea is for society to change, more people have to kind of be on the same page on what the underlying political principles of society are for society to start working in that direction. So you're going to find disagreement between libertarians, and libertarians are going to think that the application of these principles only work in the way that they've come to the conclusion that they work, because that's how everybody works. When you talk to progressives, they're going to think that progressive values only work out the way that they've concluded. Conservatives are going to think conservative values are only going to conclude the way that they've concluded. But for societal change to happen, people need to think differently. And at the core of libertarianism, as far as solutions go to society's problems, it doesn't just tell you what is a solution, it just doesn't prevent a solution. And that's important. When you talk about conservative and progressive values, again, they mix their moral frameworks with their political frameworks, which means they take solutions off the table. They take the ability for individuals to organize in certain ways off the table because they're imposing sort of their moral lines using force. Since libertarianism isn't going to use force to impose any kind of moral line as far as what you can do with your life, body, and property, then the possibility of how you solve problems and how you work with others to solve problems is limitless. The only thing that's limited by is your ability to persuade others and your imagination. And that's important because that puts pressure on people to learn how to communicate with each other, to figure out ways to work with each other instead of forcing others to work with them to accomplish the things that they want, and allows there to be a discussion of ideas, a discussion of solutions, and all sorts of things. And then there is sort of a value in that discussion. There's a value in discovery, and I think that's all very important. That's why libertarianism matters. So it's not about saying, okay, libertarians agree on, you know, the value of addressing or not addressing inequality, or not addressing mobility, or hunger, or healthcare. Libertarians can morally differ, can intellectually differ on these issues, where libertarians agree that there's not a proper time to initiate force in order to impose sort of one's preferred solutions or preferred values on others. And once you get people thinking that way, though, then they start looking for solutions elsewhere, and solutions can happen today instead of waiting for a delayed solution through a political process that can take years, if not decades, to accomplish. So my name is Alex Merced. I hope you found this video interesting. Have a great day and enjoy.